Friends, it's the morning show. Jeff Cook, Kristen Mesgy, Jackie Contessa, TJ Wilson. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Had a crazy mishap with our tech from last time, so we have to re-record our heart conversation.
Yes, a crazy tech mishap.
I hate technology.
We had our first family fight. Let's just put it that way.
There we go.
And we're stronger than ever, but we decided not to release the fight to the public.
Mm-hmm.
And
Actually, for those in the 10,000 and above sphere on my Patreon, it is available.
if you pay us enough money.
Honestly, we did record it, but we also finished it. We finished it off the air. We finished talking. We talked it through, and we repaired.
It was a type-infused family fight, as they all are.
Yeah.
As they all are.
It's good.
So, yeah. We're gonna do it again. I mean, not the fight part.
Thank God.
We're so confessional this morning. This was not on my bingo card.
That's good for the Heart Center, though, I feel.
Right?
Yep.
Speaking of, we're talking about the Heart Center and our relationship, the four of us, each of our relationships to the Heart Center. Kristen, you got some good lowdown on the heart. What's the story with the heart?
So I was thinking right before this, okay, what is the Heart Center? So here's some things I'm thinking. Our relationship with our identity, really who we think we are, I think is in the center. Relationality with others, I think mostly, can fit here. And a lot about our feelings, obviously not everything about feelings is Heart Center, but maybe our relationship to our feelings we can kind of put here. So, and then when balanced, when we have, maybe we could say, a healthy relationship to our Heart Center, we are able to have genuine feeling, empathy, connection, as opposed to performance, people pleasing, emotional reactivity, my personal favorite. So, we can kind of be in our feelings for real and not just whoosh, run by them, swept away by them, that sort of thing. That's kind of, what do y'all think of my frame there?
Yeah, love that.
I think that's great.
Okay, cool.
Identity, relationships, connection.
Yeah, self and others.
I think a good thing to add there is that applies to all of us, right? But to have access in whatever way your type has access to, the Heart Center for this example, but any center is different than leading with that center, right? And so I think in one of the episodes, Kristen said it's a center of intelligence. And so I think it's sort of important to say that when let's say the Heart Center is the leader for what we're after and is also a result of the imbalance of leaning on one center and sort of not the other ones. I also think something that's important is that when a center of intelligence is in the front, it's how we see, it's how we tell, it's how we receive information, it's where the information is stored, and a lot of things come out of that. And that's not the case for everybody, even though everybody has access, even if it's repressed, to the Heart Center. So I think that's a distinction we should have made in the Body Center episode, where it's I think leading with the center and storing information there and information coming from there is different than the other types that just have access to that center. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the thing that makes sense, but I think is really hard to understand for all of us, right? Yes. I just think it's really hard to grasp because of the truthiness there. And because of we're all kind of yeah, I get it, but we can't really get it, which is hard.
Yeah, because only 3 of us are led with bonding, right? Which means I'm trying to establish and maintain mutuality, relative, right? Only 3 of us are led with relational connection as it relates to the significance and impact of our identity on or with other people. So everybody else does have access to the Heart Center and all the things that the Heart Center does, but 2, 3, and 4 lead with that. They receive and tell with that. Does that make so it is hard to grasp, but I think it's important to distinguish.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think we Like I talk a lot about the sort of the ineffable knowing that comes within the body, and there's a very similar thing that has to do with relationships, connection. That feeling center is not about knowing your feelings; it's about feeling your feelings, and it's sort of ineffable in the same way because you feel them in your heart center.
It's excellent. Grabbed hold of that emotional wheel that's got like 120 emotions, and was surprised to see how no more than half, maybe even a third, were ones that I associated with the quote unquote feeling center. There's the negatives that come up for me of like quote unquote negative emotions of regret or neglect or grief. But there's also a lot of positivity in terms of the emotions here of nostalgia, of affection, of warmth, shared delight. Thing that I associate most with the heart center is that this is the place of bonding and comparison. And those will be the two big ones for me. But starting with you, Jackie, you were in the heart center, and you were correct, I think, in saying not only are you leading with the heart, but you're storing information there, which I think is a helpful way to come to this. What's your relationship with your heart?
I want to hear more about that storing information piece.
I have such a hard time with twos and comparison because, and I don't think it's incorrect, right? Because I'd be prideful to say, well, no, 3 and 4 do it. I don't. But I don't think it is the same, because I think that 3 and 4, depending, right, can have some of that like comparison, competition border. I would love to hear your perspective, Jeff, on the way that you believe and have seen twos compare, because I struggle, and it's like I feel like I know in my heart that is true, but I have a hard time understanding that. So yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it true, Jackie, that they want to be the special friend? They want to be like kind of the most something to their people?
Yes, I would say like not every single two is going to agree with that statement in particular, but for the most part, I think that's a good generalization, and it does get more intense as you go subtype. But yes, that's special.
So to me, there's a comparison aspect, right? Because I can't be special or irreplaceable if I'm not.
Okay, yeah, let me take this to the left where, and maybe this is a personal thing, I have never been like, so-and-so is more important to you than I. It's never felt that way. And maybe that's like a sexual subtype thing, like where I'm sort of like locked and loaded on somebody, and like I really just care about our one-to-one. But I agree. I also don't see a lot of twos, or at least express to me how important it is to compare to another person. Does that make sense? So yes, compared to something.
It totally makes sense. I just wonder about if there's like a blind spot there, because I
was going to say too, like, you know how like jealousy is being threatened, and so it doesn't matter if like your partner gets a promotion, you can feel jealous about having less time with them, right? Like I think there are I know that there are parts where I compare in that way, where I go like, well, what does this mean for us? And so perhaps
I'm hearing sort of talking around the difference between pride and envy. Mm-hmm. Envy says I'm missing something those people don't have, right? Or those people have. I don't have something that they have. Pride is comparison, but it's not in the same. Like it's not.
Great distinction.
It's automatically putting the self over the others in a way that
Yes.
Comparison is still there, but it's not the same as envy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kristen, to what you were asking about storing information in the heart center, I think that like we all store information in our center, and I think that's where the core emotion has its like little bit of a playground, right? Like I'm hardwired to be attuned to the impact, the effects, whatever, of who I am, and shame fills in the gaps when I don't have all the information. because I've stored information in my heart center, right? I think anxiety or fear, I think anger fill in the gaps because of where the information is stored.
Oh, that's so good.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we have to say that again.
No, I forgot what I said already.
When there are
Jeff, just copy and
gaps-
paste what I said.
Okay, I'll help you get there because it's so good. When there are gaps in information, which there always are,
Our center of
core-
intelligence
our center of intelligence
uses that core emotion to fill in the
to
gaps.
fill in those gaps.
And that's why, sometimes when
You
I
need
talk
to
about shame and
make that a
conviction being
t-shirt
sort of
or
like the same muscle that's managed differently, like it's all from the same. Like I'm never going to not get information from my heart center. It's just going to sound healthier.
Man, that's so good. Okay, so then it's so fascinating for a 2 because you've got shame and pride, which seems so like opposite, right? To me, that feels like wow, because one's
I
like
use
you
pride.
suck ass, and the other's like
I use
you know,
pride
this-
to la 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 la. Like, I feel it. That's the thing. I do feel the shame. I am informed by the shame, and then I'm like, "Shut up, you!" And it goes all, and I repress it all the way down, especially if it conflicts with what I'm trying to do. And pride jumps in because pride is like, "I can save you."
so good.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
shame versus pride is the same in theory as fear versus recklessness.
Recklessness.
But that's
being-
different than because it's
So it's
fear
sort
and
of
cowardice that
passion-
are playing together, which kind of are expanders, as opposed to with Jackie, it's like they're opposites.
Like 3 and 4 will do the same thing, and like like 3 will use self deceit to go against the shame. 4 will use envy to do, depending on this is where it gets really specific, but depending on the subtype, do something very specific with channeling their envy. So it is a I think that might work with all of the types, right? Is I mean
That's excellent. Yeah,
your passion
is a response to your underlying feeling. You're
yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
This is so much better than the family fight version. So we're already winning, people.
The thing that struck me, to answer your question from earlier, in terms of twos and comparison, is that the attention of other people is a limited resource,
Shut up.
and because of that, if that's what you're seeking,
Woo!
Yeah, that's
you're gonna have to arm wrestle some folks. So
yeah.
That's what I get. That's what I sense. Yes.
I don't desire for other people to not be special to this person. But I got to do something to be the one. Yeah. So
thank you for saying
compared
that,
compared
Jackie.
to what is a big question, right? So it's still comparison, but I think it does work differently. Appreciate that answer.
But you're not just competing with other people. You're competing with a baseball game, or you're competing with
Yes.
their job
Yes.
and work schedule.
Because when people talk about twos in comparison, I have a hard time because I'm like, you don't have to believe me, but I like truly hope we all win. So yes, that makes a lot of sense.
The primary for my wife on this front is like there's some metrics that are metrics, weird word for this, but like there are some things that are establish attention at the highest level. So we keep secrets, for example. These secrets are ours and they're nobody else's, and that signifies attention and devotion at a certain level. And that seems to me that can become comparative. Do you have secrets with this other person? Or
How come you told them before you told me?
yes, that sort of thing. Yeah. Who got
Not
to
a
hear
direct
this
quote.
first? Yeah.
Makes sense.
We all
Um,
saw your
so
face
good.
when you said that. We know it's a direct quote.
Yeah.
I hate this
Yeah.
video.
Anything else you want to say about your relationship with your heart, Jackie?
I think that, one of the things that we were talking about last week that I think became a point of misunderstanding, or in the session that didn't get aired or whatever, was sort of like perceived shame versus shame at its root. And so, like, 2, 3, and 4 heart center led people use shame to be the thing that tells them who they are, because it's the thing that is talking. It is the thing that is informing. And so it's when we start working with our identity and like, I am who I am, baseline, bare minimum, unfuckwithable things, like that's when shame starts to sound like conviction. But other than that, it's not like this shaming, berating, you're a piece of garbage. It's, they don't love you. They're going to forget you. Dude, like they just had surgery and you didn't even ask them how they were. They're going to, like, that was rude. Like, that is always informing me. And it's not always, it's rarely, I think, if ever, a response to somebody who puts shame on me, because I think that's a human response, is to respond when you feel external shame. So I think that that's I am trying to get ahead of shame by creating a desired image. 2, 3, and 4 will do that very differently. And so I think that's a really important thing, is like, it's not always you're a bad person, but it's something I'm trying to get ahead of and respond to based on a desired image. It's safer there. And that's what the Heart Center does.
Man, Jeff,
That's a good word.
that's so clear.
Like drawing in some of that, a little bit of stance here, like there's a sense of earning your way out of shame.
Yes.
Ooh,
Within
yeah.
2s,
Mhm.
like 3s and
Permission,
4s
sorts.
respond to it differently. It's like,
Man.
I am going to become worthy by doing enough to be worthy. And the shame is the thing that says you have to earn it. Yeah.
So nobody here represses their heart center, but everybody relates to it differently. And I am very curious how those same themes, motifs, right? Shame, identity, XYZ, relationship, look when they're supporting your main center and not the leader, right? So I'd love to hear from you guys too about your relation to not just feelings, right, but the heart center.
Why don't you go, TJ?
9s and heart center. So I've been thinking a lot about this, especially in the last week, because I don't like as a supportive center, I don't know that I necessarily experience my feelings in a way that is true or honoring to them as often as I would like, because I have to process them first. Being in the body center, I encounter a lot of feelings as anger first. A lot of my feelings show up as anger first. And a long time ago in therapy, I learned that I need to figure out what's underneath the anger. And that has to be processed in my mind. So my experience with feeling feelings is often like sort of like feeling around in the dark. I don't know what it is. I have to figure out what it is first. And by the time I do that, I'm usually not feeling it anymore.
How hard is it for you to go past, I don't know, right? To like pick yourself up from your bootstrap. Because one thing I when I'm working with a 9, I tell them, I'm like, I don't know is not the end of a sentence. It's the beginning. Keep going. Keep going. How, when you were like, I don't know what I'm feeling, how hard is it for you for that to be the beginning and not the end?
So coming from a 9, the problem is that it takes so much time to process that by the time I get to the start of that sentence, it's like, I'm too tired. I'm going to move on now. I'll deal with this later. So like I have a box of stuff that I brought home from my mom's house after my mom died, and that was 4 years ago, and I still have not opened that box. And I think about it every holiday, Mother's Day, Mom's birthday, like all the time. I think about that box and like, maybe this is the day. And it's always too much work for me to it's not too much work for me to go through the box. It's too much work for me to have those feelings. And part of that is because I know that they're really important and I want to give them their due, but I'm just too tired. So
You're really aware of the relational disconnection there, even before jumping into the box, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that would be coming forth from your heart, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely can't. I was thinking a lot while you were talking about information, Jackie, and like for me, this also has to do with the feelings and memories associated with objects. So there's a sentimentality there, like that tied to objects for me. That's why I have so much shit on my shelves behind me. Each of those things has a memory associated with it, and there's feelings around that. So I keep those things around as sort of totems to remind, invoke, represent feelings that I have, so that I know they're real.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's where my mind went, is that there's something about the target for nines. It's almost like attention is the finish line, but you're very aware of your physical spaces and you use past tools. So the trinkets of memory brought forth for the sake of attention can be a real thing. TJ, it was in a purple tuxedo for his wedding. It was in a older style, and just being able to both, it's the dress is physical. The style ends up being, again, kind of pulling from the past, and yet the finish line is something like, here's like a rightly earned attention. My mom was, who's a 9, was a fabulous dresser, very classic style, and it came out of that kind of space in my mind. She also is an art historian, and so when she's bringing forth these trinkets of memory, and elevating them, very spatial. Furniture is very, physical in nature, but her expertise when she wanted to shift into that gear could be pay attention to this. And that's, that might be some things worth saying. We could talk about TJ's espresso machine that he desired to buy. Did not want a new espresso machine. Picked a 1980s, drive across the state, pull it apart for 2 months, espresso machine. And I assume that there's some of that going on in terms of eventually you land in the pay attention to me. And I have one other thing, but do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like things that are old and creaky way more than I like new things. Because there's history there. There's like, I would never buy a new house, not ever, because that sounds so boring. I want a house that might be haunted. I want a house that has like
Earth to it.
marks on the wall from several different families worth of children growing up. I want the house to be lived in.
Last thought for me, your presence doesn't matter. Sounds relational to me.
Yeah.
Is there anything we're
I said
saying
we
there?
want
'Cause
to hear
that's-
more.
Yeah, that's an invitation for you to speak.
Yeah. He's like, agreed. Let's move on.
It is, but it isn't. Because it gets into, like, my presence is so much like who I am, my physical effect on the world. I'm going to have to think about that for a few minutes.
I feel like I hear a lot of 9s from the cognitive space, right? Being able to go, no, I matter. Like, why would you treat a different patron at the coffee shop different than I? Like, I matter, right? If you make a difference, I make a difference. I think I don't matter. It's not always relational. It's about like energy output. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yes.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yes.
I don't matter is less about, like, I'm more likely to say I don't matter relationally than TJ is. Does that feel fair, TJ?
Yes. The energy that I have output is like wasted energy now.
Yeah. I've had more bouts as and the reason I feel like I'm able to say this is, like, I've had even conversations with other 2s where we've all had a moment in our lives being like, are we even made for relationships at all? I don't think I matter in relationships. And I don't think 9s are thinking about whether or not they matter that way through pain and grief and, like,
Yeah.
Okay, TJ, how do you... Go ahead.
No, please.
Do you think about connection and, like, making connections with people? Like,
I am open to the connections that come along. I am not actively seeking connection. I don't know that nines are actively seeking connection, in part because most nines can find connection anywhere.
We think
Because
relationships is connection. Exactly.
Yeah, merging and like this idea of holding up a mirror to the other person, like I can get along with anybody. I don't necessarily want to though, and I'm not seeking that. I do have my antenna out for people that I will get along with, for people that we can speak that language. But I'm not actively looking for connection necessarily.
Okay, and go ahead, Jeff.
To build on that, it seems like somebody like Jackie and the Heart folks would come to the question of relationships asking something like, did I do enough? Whereas for TJ, I imagine the question is negative, and it's, have I been abandoned? It's less about I feel like it's less about the effort, and it's more about, but there's still a strong intuitive sense of one's proximity. And again, a primary fear for nines, and I suppose that's why I pushed into the Heart's message, primary fear for nines is disconnection. And that feels relational to me.
Yeah. So abandonment and disconnection, I think, are different, because abandonment is a heart word. And I'm not saying nines won't feel that way, right? But I hear 4 themes of who I am and being left. I have had 9 clients. I love working with nines. Holy shit. Who are literally, they talk about floating into space, feeling like they're floating into space without something to be connected to. So I think abandonment and disconnection are different.
Yeah.
One is they can both be relational, but I think one is inherently just relational.
And I think abandonment has a little bit more to do with agency and autonomy. And like there's a sense of like thinking about the question of like, did I do enough? That isn't on my mind. It's more like despite not being everything that was expected of me, not fulfilling, not am I still connected?
To a person or just connected?
An organization, whatever.
Are we good? Are we good? We good?
Yeah. Are we good?
We good? Am I good? Good? Yeah.
Okay, my last question for TJ. Do you think about who you are? Do you like, what's your relationship to your identity?
Flowing and simultaneously fixed, and has a lot to do with who I am, how I am choosing to act in the world. Like if you ask me who I am, what my thing is, like I'm a barista, I'm a audio engineer, I'm a theologian, I'm an Enneagram nerd, like I'm a father and a husband, but like the things that I really care, those are mostly things that I really care about as well. Several of those things don't technically apply because I don't have a job as a barista. I don't have any work as an engineer. I don't like these are things that I'm passionate about. So like my identity comes from that place in a way.
Does any of your identity overlap with who you merge with?
If I was more merging, yes, it would.
Bang. Last question.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I
sorry.
don't merge much.
Last question for me. I still think that the secondary center should be identified with 3 6s and 9s as kind of the center that is your, well, it would be your security center. You're going to abandon your primary center, so you're repressed in action, go into thinking, but I think your heart supports your thinking, and that makes a lot of sense to me. I see 9s as very relationally aware and in tune. Obviously, like some of the skills of 9s is being able to read the emotional states of others.
Yeah.
You think about the emotions would, I think, be justified way of describing 9's primary posture. Do you thoughts on secondary center there? If you call that a secondary center?
I fully agree with that. I think it might be that we spend so much time thinking about our own feelings that we understand other people's in that ineffable way. Like I can feel other people's feelings oftentimes in like that empath kind of thing, and I can help explain them to the people who are feeling them, who don't know how to understand what they're feeling. So like there is a very much a processing, like experiencing those feelings, and I think that's part of where like that meaning and purpose piece comes in. Like you'll see that in 4s and 5s as well, with that heart being a supporting place. And
Kristen, so the question I had prompted TJ with was, how do you relate to the heart center, not just feelings, but like the heart center as it's like not your first and is meant to support your main center?
Well, so I wrote down, as we've been talking, earning, connection, and emotional reactivity as sort of 6 places to talk about the center. So let's start with emotional reactivity. I personally am very aware that there's a lot of emotion happening all of the time. Until I could be with that, that is a place of great reactivity, attempts to connect, and generally misses. Because all this emotion, I'm not cool with it, so I'm trying to go out to fix this, but that's a completely unconscious thing until it's conscious.
It's similar to my emotional space moving, my heart center moving into my head so I can understand it. Your heart center moves into your body.
Yes. And then, but then out.
Yeah.
Because this is too much. This is bad. This means very bad things. So, having an emotion, the brain is like, that means something bad.
Right. Something has
Not having a
registered.
happiness.
Something has registered. You're responding to
That
something.
now needs my attention. That now needs someone to fix it. That now, like a lot of things now must occur. This is really how I think about emotional reactivity. It's like my emotions can't just occur. It's like an event every time. That's so funny. And again, until that becomes conscious, that's a big part of what's happening for 6s and why there is so much relational trouble, I feel. Because,
Oh, sorry. I would actually, so I'd love to hear then, right, how 6s relate to shame, because I'm not saying all shame is cognitive, but I think that
I think all shame has a voice.
okay. Yeah.
All shame has a story.
Yeah.
So I think it really depends, because it's not primary, right? So I think it really depends on, I'm trying to think how to say this, because I think it has to do with, I really don't know how to say it, because it's not the same for all 6s. Some 6s are very shamey. I'm not a very shamey 6 because I really like myself. I like who I am in the world.
It could be a bit of a tool as well, right? I think the ways that, let's say like type 1 will use repression of emotions and self over control to keep in line. There's a little bit of certainty, perhaps, that like shaming yourself into being in like I hear that, and maybe some self-preservation sixes where like loyalty and shame are just two sides of a coin, especially if loyalty is for safety, right?
Well, shoulds and earning to me are not the same as shame. So
Say it
like
again.
shoulds are primary for me. But to me, that's not my shaming
And
voice.
it's so like what you should do doesn't come
Is
because
not
for-
the same
Yes.
as, wow, you are really ruining this relationship. You have screwed things up. You have, like, the shame is so powerful in a different way. And that's actually, our conversations have really helped me find this distinction, because I'm like, oh, the shame is there, and it's definitely there in varying degrees for different sixes, but it's not primary. The shoulds, the earning, the have to, the emotional activity, those are all sort of first and most.
Yeah. And I hear that you feel shame about areas of, let's say, that would make you anxious, the same way that I feel anxious about areas that I would normally feel shame in. I would feel anger about areas that I would normally, like, it comes from a place of shame. Like,
Yeah.
I find that the thing, does that make sense?
Kind of. It's basically to like magnify
Yes.
the fear.
It magnifies, exactly. Like, anger
So like
magnifies
I had a
shame.
situation a couple weeks ago where I was just in a very bad spot, and I misread some social stuff. Really,
We were all
You have
there
to-
last week.
You have to tell us.
No,
You have
no.
to tell us now.
No.
we're all a family.
I
We're
was
parents.
great last week. All right,
You gotta tell
I
us
was on
though.
point. No, it was not that. It was a personal social, a group that I'm in, and I misread some things socially because I was just really vulnerable. I was having a very it's rough around here these days, and I saw what I had done. Okay, I saw how I had misread some things, and shame, right? It came on board, and it was just like, like humiliation is what I was feeling. But because I have this sense of like, Kristen, you did that because you're just not in a good place, right? It makes sense. You're dealing with so much right now. You're carrying so much. Because I have that sense of my identity, actually, I was able to navigate the shame quite easily. So even though it came on, who I know myself to be was much more in charge. And I was able to see the shame as a mechanism, and I was able to feel the humiliation, just kind of let it like move through and not get locked anywhere.
It's so amazing that it's not automatic for you. Because I would have.
Yeah, because I can't imagine if that were the first and primary thing, it would.
My life is over.
That would
That
just
would
be
be my
very
first
different.
thought. Is like, my life is over. Like, where I stand with these people is over.
So
And
yeah,
I'm
go ahead,
curious,
TJ.
the way that you're describing it, it sounds like shame often has to do with things that you have done or failed to do.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that that's the same case for 2s, 3s, and 4s.
But I also do know 6s where shame is very much bigger in their life.
Okay.
And so they don't have, like, I've really worked to build a sense of identity on purpose. I find that to be primary work for 6s. So if that hasn't been done, shame just has a lot more play. Like, if it comes up, it's just going to blow out because it's so threatening. So I think identity work is really, really, really important for everybody to do, for 6s to do for sure. Yeah. Anyway, I like answering questions.
How
That's
do
an
you
easier way to
experience-
talk about all this. Go ahead, Jeff.
How do you experience shame when you have not done enough for others?
Again, I've done a lot of work here, and I just name it. Right? So like, if I'm having a conversation with a friend and I'm like, wow, I've really been talking about myself a lot. I feel like I'm sucking the air out of the room. What have I missed? I'll just name it. I'll get that reassurance, because I'm not ashamed of needing reassurance, which is something a lot of 6s, as soon as they see themselves clearly, shame will come in and take them out. I'm like, yeah, sometimes I need reassurance. So I'm going to go ahead and get that and move on.
I want to acknowledge that a lot of the rest of us are not very good at not shaming 6s for needing reassurance. And that
you,
is
TJ.
particularly
It's
true in the Enneagram community, who should know better. You're bad at it.
Absolutely.
I'm bad at it. I apologize.
Just freaking thank you. I mean, that's really meaningful. That's really meaningful, actually.
Can you speak about reassurance, desired reassurance that isn't validating your thoughts, like reassurance in other spheres?
Can you ask it a different way?
Yeah, it feels like, well, a primary in some of my relationships with sixes is the desire for others to pause and validate the concerns that they're bringing to the table. And
Yeah.
that's one form of reassurance. I assume there's other forms of reassurance that are desirable.
Oh, there's so many.
Okay.
What you're talking about is, I think, what's really hard for other people a lot of times.
It's a
Because when
beholder
I'm saying,
question, isn't it?
hey, because it's a lack of awareness that I'm looking for reassurance at an emotional level. That's like not on the table consciously. So it's like, hey, you need to think about what I'm thinking about. We need to agree that this is really important. Most other people are like, well, I don't agree with you that that's important. Well, now you've got a really freaked out six
Yeah.
who's trying to like do this. And people are like, don't do that to me. So six is getting in touch with their emotional center, their heart, their what they're really looking for is so important, because then you can say things in a way to get what you want met, but it's from a place of ownership as opposed to, I don't know what's going on. There's just a bunch of problems. I've got a bunch of feelings that I'm not willing to wrestle with. I need you to fix this. Like that's a real mess. That's hard for everybody. But when I can say what I'm really like, okay, for instance, oh my gosh, so my husband and I are, thinking about future things with our son, and I'm able to say where my mind is this place, and I'm experiencing a lot of fear about this particular thing in the future, and I'm holding my fear. I'm not throwing it at him. He's able to then say, interesting, I'm not concerned about that. This is kind of where my concerns are. And then I'm able to be like, right, because what my brain is doing, that's how anxiety functions, is what I'm doing. Now that's a place of humility for me to take it back and say, okay, right. I'm not over here truth telling. I don't actually know the future. I'm able to see where my fear and cowardice and all the things are projecting into the future. And I can take that back and be like, I may not be right. And then I'm back in an open flow, a conversation, as opposed to, we need to fix this future thing that we can't actually know is going to happen. I kind of blacked out when I was describing that. Did that make sense to y'all?
Oh my gosh, it was
It
beautiful.
was brilliant.
Okay, I'm so glad.
It's almost like
very vulnerable.
That
It's very vulnerable.
self-confident courage created reassurance from the context, from the data. Like it could have easily been seen as invalidating, and the need to continue to push to the front what you are feeling to get the other person to respond or to, right? And so I think it's beautifully said, because I think when we think about reassurance, it's not always like a work of, I'm going to do this just to get this or whatever. Like sometimes, for example, the other end of the continuum is that sixes can test people to get the reassurances that they're looking, right? So like reassurance can be a funny thing, but it is what is needed. The beautiful thing about that is that I don't think you will stop needing reassurance. You just created it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
We talked about this in the episode with Katie, talking through processing center, that there is something going on with sixes that they are feeling in service of a different goal, and the relationships are in service of a different goal. I assume, like, you're doing, my assumption about sixes is that you're doing a lot of the work in heart space to satisfy and meet the underlying feeling that you have in your center. You know what I mean?
I feel like this is interesting. I think of this is like a theory place.
Yeah.
Where I don't know if we diverge or if I just think about it differently. But so what I hear you saying is and this might be right. Like I'm trying to use relational tools to not feel afraid. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I think my mind goes to all the ways we do it not functionally.
Is it to not feel afraid, or is it to to deal with or as a
Yes,
result of the
it's-
fear? Because I just
So it's to gain certainty. Okay, here's what it is. Yeah. So I'm going to use relational tools in an attempt to feel certain.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And that's why reassurance
that just goes
would matter,
so-
yeah.
Yeah, and why validation matters so much, because if I'm just here having all these feelings and all this, like, it's real chaotic in here, then I also, I'm not trusting what's in here. So that's why I need other people to say, that makes sense. You make sense. But of course, half the time other people are like, that doesn't make any sense.
just stop it.
And sometimes
just
it would
stop
be
it.
really nice if the way that we responded would be interesting. Here's what I'm thinking about. That'd be way better for those of us in relationship with sixes.
Yeah, or where do you think that's coming from? It's a great question.
Yeah, those might work. I mean,
Through the teeth,
it's
too.
tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Do you experience any comparative feelings in that space? And what does that look like? No, never.
Yes. It's really interesting. I experience a lot of envy about things, and I don't find other sixes saying that, and I think they're all in denial.
Can you describe the envy and maybe give one example? Because I am curious how.
I mean, I don't want to, so
I know
I'll
that
just
you
say
don't.
that.
But so envy as we know it, right, is the idea that something good is outside of you and you cannot have
Right.
it because something is missing or wrong with you. I'm very curious how or why you'd experience that, and if that sort of is some of, like how we talked about, shame or reassurance as it relates to
Well,
that.
like, for instance, I would not to ever, okay, how do I even, my brain is scrambling it. I think it's a really vulnerable place because I'm literally like, I don't know.
That's fine.
It's gone.
We don't have to.
I mean, what am I after? I'm after certainty. I'm after relationship, connection, approval, all these things. So anything that kind of threatens any of those things. So it could kind of be anything. But I think envy itself is a threatening emotion.
Jealousy.
Yeah.
So jealousy
So-
is when you feel you have something or want something and it is threatened by something outside. And envy is that internal, something's wrong with me. All the good things are outside there. I can't have what I want. But I feel threatened by something is jealousy. Like the way I was describing it for twos.
I honestly, my brain has like broken over this, even though it's something I experience a lot.
But I am curious at some point. Send me a voice note about
If it comes,
sixes
well,
and
if
envy.
it comes back,
Yeah.
I mean, if my brain comes back online, I'm happy to share. I just have kind of lost it entirely.
When I think about like my partner is a 6, and she doesn't. I don't think she would describe her experience as envy, because it has to do with some kind of failure on her part.
Yeah.
It's not about a deficiency on the inside. I
That's
think
it.
like we have to acknowledge that 4s sort of sit in their envy, and it's like this they're playing in the mud now. But I don't think 6s experience it. Go.
Okay. It's fairness. So, okay. There's something about fairness and what's fair. And people having ease in certain places of life feels unfair. So there's a discomfort, right, in relation to a comparative thing all the time, but that's kind of a lot of what it has to do with. There's that piece in there where it's like, well,
Brilliant.
Yeah.
yeah.
When
Bring it
you
in
combine
the-
envy plus fairness, you get 6s.
It's a buzzword for me, fairness, because we talked about TJ's relationship with the quote unquote secondary center, but fairness is a body term for me.
You know what's interesting is it's Kristen, you're a social subtype, is that right? When I hear fairness, I'm not talking about necessarily justice, but I hear a benchmark, like this benchmark of sorts that other people have that you have to sort of, I'm like putting words in your mouth, like scramble for, fight for, work for, get the reassurance for, as opposed to what is right, what is fair, what is level. Does that feel like more that benchmark that you have to work for?
Yeah, and then I mean, I can just feel it's like other people not thinking through why they have what they have. People being blind to what they have, their own privilege, such a trigger point for me. Like, to be thoughtless about having more than others, especially like and this brings in the social stuff, like, my kids are at high school is so freaking competitive these days. Like, it's not like that when I was growing up. And just the way that all the high achievers, like the level of support that they have, right? So it's kind of like, not to take anything away from people's hard work, but I do think there's something in 6 that's like, your hard work is secondary to whatever you brought to the table and all the supports that you have. Do you hear? Okay, it's all coming back now. This is why it's hard to... It's just like, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit is a lot of what is here. So like, people have all this. It's like, and then they're so proud of themselves. And I'm like pretty unimpressed because you only have all that because, you hear it.
You had a leg up already.
Exactly. You started on third base. So yay for your home run.
So many things that I'm going to text you later.
Okay.
Very brilliant. Like,
and other people don't think that way, I guess.
I don't agree with that. I think that they do, and I think it's hard to justify it. I think you're an incredibly aware person, but what you are describing, I have heard very much in my 6 clients, and I'm like, yes. Yeah.
And there's a truthiness to it too, because there's a lot about
there's
6
grief
that's
there.
like,
oh,
there's just so much there. Yeah.
I-
But there's a lot of 6 that's like, look over here, and people don't want to look over here.
I
They're
think
like, I'm gonna go ahead, TJ, I'll stop talking.
Well, I'm wondering if we need to name the earning in that as well.
Yep.
I don't think we should do that.
That's
No,
what
because there's
enough.
a huge thing, right? Like, anytime anyone in this space right here is like, oh, Kristen, you sound self-aware, or you sound whatever. There's like no greater we talked about compliments before. There's no greater compliment to you are where you are because you've worked for it. Which is, I'm just aware that that's dumb. Okay. That's like,
I don't feel that ever.
like I
Unpack that.
only want to be seen for like, look what you've overcome. Look how hard you're
resilient.
And I'm
little
like, what
lady.
is that except
Yeah.
this earning thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm hearing there is there's a comparative
Oh, totally.
filter for earning, yeah. These folks are born on third base. These people started with nothing.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
comparative in
better.
Yeah.
It's better to earn things
Yeah.
than to have them given to you.
More secure.
Although I also want people to just give me things.
I think it's worth noting again the justice, fairness. You brought up the word ease. I mean, all of those have 9 dripping off of them, and that's worthwhile. But it's processed. All those values processed relationally and through your heart. Yeah, they kick.
It also
they
makes
kick
it
out
really-
perception.
It makes it really difficult parenting. It just makes it really difficult to like message anything to my kids. Cuz it's like, yeah, you're really smart, doesn't matter. You got to work. Like the smarts you got are just. But it also I'm sorry, I'm totally taking over. We talk a lot because the other side of earning and all this is this whole deserving conversation. And I talk about this with my clients a lot. And my actual fundamental theory that helps me and saves me and feels good in my heart is we don't deserve anything that we have. We don't deserve the good that we have, and we don't deserve the bad that we have, because that's where earning flipped on its head is so dangerous. Because if I earn everything good I have, then I earned all the hard things in my life. And that sucks ass.
Yep.
And is not a way to live.
Yep.
It's just, what am I going to do with what I have, right? To get stuck in this head trip. And this is where the mess is, where it's like, I earned it. I don't deserve it. I deserve it. It's a total stopper for sixes to just be in the world.
Yeah.
What were you going to say,
All
TJ?
that,
I talked over
listen,
you.
all
Oh,
that
yeah.
Protestant upbringing going on there.
Seriously. Waspy.
Jeff, may I call you that?
Yes.
How do you
Sometimes.
how do you relate?
I call him Jeffrey in my head.
And that scares me. I was gonna do it and I was like, what if that's wrong? How do you relate to the things in the heart center? How do you relate to the significance of your identity? How do you relate to internal shame that is not a response from, how do you relate to it as it's not your main center?
Not to sabotage. Are we done with Kristen? Did you?
I feel done.
Okay.
I feel complete.
I ended up again kind of wanted to do work with that emotion wheel and just say what is it that pops for me here. I've come one that I'm going to be extreme on this front and say there's like a high and a low, and I kind of that wheel doesn't have a lot of average feelings for the most part. So the high side of
What's
the
an
heart for
average
me,
feeling?
I don't know. Blasé. That wasn't on the wheel. I associate the heart with warmth, a relational warmth, with shared delights, with affection and affirmation. I especially associate the heart with sentimentality and nostalgia. And anytime I bring up nostalgia, that is the location in my mind of joy. And so for me, in really digging into joy is going to be, I can only access that, it seems to me, in that space, kind of high side 4 space for me. So I'm a 1, I go to 4 in stress. 4 is going to be my primary overlap with the heart. I suppose I have a wing as well. So my view on oneness is that I'm intuiting my feelings is what it looks like when I'm centered, and my thinking comes last. So I intuit my own feelings about things and the feelings of others, but I cannot describe what's going on until I do real business with analysis. So I feel very, very strongly most of the time and don't know what's going on. And so that's kind of an overlap with my heart center. On the negative side again, I'm characterizing some of these emotions. Regret, neglect, grief, abandonment, sadness. These are all things that I associate with my experience of the heart center. Those are strong emotions for me at times, and ones that I generally want to avoid. I don't like pushing into those spaces. I think high side 4 would invite me to push into them and find meaning and beauty in them, but that's real work. So quick word on my experience.
And it's interesting because some emotions are for agency and some emotions evoke a loss of a sense of control or unloading
That's
or unleashing,
true.
right? So I think it's fair. Like it sounds harsh, but when I work with my ones and we talk about self over control, there is a little bit of, there are some types of feelings that open the can in the way that I work really hard to not open the can. So I'm curious, how often do you think about and then are moved
Before
by-
you finish this question, put a pin in it because I know it's going to be good. I want to extend that also to the other emotions because they're connecting joy to nostalgia, I think, is a way of controlling the bigness of what joy could be. Because I would suggest that there is a tremendous amount of joy to be had in the present moment.
My experience of joy isn't like that. My experience of joy is lacks control, and I'm getting dragged into something amazing is my experience of joy. And it's normally very nostalgic in my experience. I do know what a present experience of, we talked about flow state with the body. I think that's, my experience is that's different. I would want to make a distinction between the two. But I do think that like, that's what I hear when you say about the like joy in the present. It's more flow state-ish. But that's me. That's just my interpretation.
Jackie, go.
What, Jeff, how often do you think about who you are as a person, at your identity, as it relates to the impact that it has on other people or resonance, and then act on it? Like, does that happen at all?
That's constant.
Can you talk about what that looks like in your world? Because that sounds like if it could sound like it's motivated from one space or from the heart center space, right? I'd love to hear about that.
A lot of the energy that I bring to a lot of the work that I do is, it's not just idealism. I like pump myself up by thinking about my own singularity. There's like a pride here, but it's more than that, or it's different than that. It's more like, I embrace in both healthy and unhealthy ways that I'm fashioned for things that are amazing. And that and I like, this can get me in trouble because I will I'll overvalue the work that I'm doing when I take I commonly take myself way too seriously, and that actually steals humor. That steals perspective. And if I were to temper that, it could be a lot healthier. That's me living in some 7 as well, because I get into a very, again, idealistic envisioning potential, and then
Planning.
That's the soup.
But so then, does it ever cross your mind about your identity as it relates to like what we consider to be like bonding, relational significance? Does it lead you to action as well? I think that's the other question is, does that lead you to action?
Sometimes. When relationships are broken, I don't commonly pursue relationships for relationships' sake. I commonly pursue, if I'm pursuing a relationship, it often is very action focused. We're going to achieve this together. That would make sense in my affect. I'm going to try and pull people into doing some things that are amazing, and we'll create a relationship along the way. That's my oneness right there.
We build things together.
Yeah. Is a primary. So doing like one of the things that's challenging for me with both my kids is that I don't build anything with either of them. And so that in terms of creating connection, I have to and it's good and healthy and wonderful for me. I need to meet them where they're at in terms of how they connect with the world. And so that's it's establishing a relationship on a different kind of foundation, receiving wisdom, receiving strength from my 2 kids is kind of a primary.
Jeff, how do you want to be seen by others?
Being seen by others isn't necessarily important to me. What is important is that the things that I do really have efficacy and have made impact. I want the stuff I put my hands to be really impressive.
Less about
But
you
I
and
don't-
more about what you produce.
Yeah.
Wait, impressive. What else? So let's put it to the things that you put out you want to be seen as.
Well, the things I put out, I want to be seen as successful and very well crafted and praiseworthy. The thing that I notice about a lot of my work, and I have to really pause and honor it, is that I very seldom am successful in the quantity space. But the people who I really respect, who are artists and thought leaders and really doing things with their life, I don't see a lot of those people not understanding or praising my work. I say that very egotistically right now. The people who I like look at in my city and in Enneagram world, who I think are actually informed in doing things with their life, nearly always have a perspective on my work that is of high value and high value to me. So I like, so on the quality side, I feel really, really solid. On the quantity side, I do not feel solid at all.
Does that ever impact who you think you are, who you feel you are at root?
I mean, it just pushes me.
Mm-hmm.
I got to work harder.
Okay. So it pushes
Why
you
is
into
it-
your center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, egotistically, I think that a lot of the stuff that we're producing is as high quality as anything that's out there.
Agree to agree.
I don't understand why it doesn't buzz better, you know? And I kind of look around, I'm like, well, I got to work harder. I got to promote this better. I need to work hard for the sake not only of myself, but the people that I work with to get us more eyeballs. That's kind of where my mind goes.
Do you know why you care about number of eyeballs? Like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's probably just, well, you know what it means? It's because only like overshare, like only until recently was I financially secure. And eyeballs means I'm financially secure and I have earned financial security. And so like, I know what it's like to get government assistance, or know what it's like to, you know, really beg others for support, you know, through nonprofit work that I was doing in a way that I found embarrassing, you know?
Yeah. There's also, it's a little bit of a metric that helps you know where you're at. Like I get, as an unproductive thinker myself, I'm like, I feel like I'd go based on something else if I didn't have a metric of sorts to look at. Yeah.
But it's also the case, like, you know, like I wrote 2 books. Both of them were fantastic. They were bought by HarperCollins, and neither one of them did very well, but they're better than all the dog shit in the Christian Living section by far.
Agree.
That pisses me off. And it, like, the fact that they didn't sell means I don't have a career. The fact that they didn't sell means that the fact they didn't sell means that the trash that Zondervan is putting out there for evangelical consumption becomes the heartbeat of that culture, and then it screws up our whole nation. You know? I could have changed that. If only my book had sold better then.
Yeah.
That's not actually true, but it might be. I was in some really strange rooms in 2008 and 2009 that you're like, holy crap, this is where the world changed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Heart center, man.
Well, and you'll notice how past oriented a lot of my language is now, and how angry I am as well. If you're not catching the undercurrent
It's
of
present anger about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Anger.
this is not, Jeff, how I know you to be otherwise is you're incredibly future oriented. You talk about the future all the time.
It's much, much more enjoyable to live in the future.
Well, it's just interesting that that side's not coming out here. So, like, because I think that is like a foundational part of you as I know you, is you're like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to, like,
Yeah.
there's so much of that.
There's, I mean, I divorced myself from my heart center there.
Well, I was gonna
That's
say,
like, I would
he
much
said,
rather live in thinking and action than I would in. So I suppose I experience the world very temporally. Ones in particular, when I'm in 7 space, that is head, which is future, and independence, which is future. If I go into stress, 4s are past. They're taking the world in through their heart, which is past, and they're withdrawn, which is past tools. So if I'm in my heart, I'm like entirely in the past, but that's also my stress move, which doesn't feel comfortable to me. And I feel like, I think 8s are this way as well, and they don't say it, but I don't think 8s are comfortable in their head. And in the same way, I'm not comfortable in my heart. 8s don't spend time thinking. 8s
I
think
just
that they
want to
think
say
and
that I
move
am
on.
not making a joke about 8s right now. I am quiet.
They don't spend a lot of time deliberating. Because they're the most
That
sensory
is-
motor dominant of all types.
Exactly. Debate, really doing the heavy work of analysis. This is not what eights want to spend their time in.
Yes.
They come to the world intuitively and they trust their intuitions and they're moving on. Same story for me. I don't want to spend time in my emotions.
It's also not helpful. I mean, that there's a sense, I don't want to say out of control, right? But like as we discussed, like there is a certain, yes, this isn't consistent with how we know Jeff because this is the pool of the types of feelings that he doesn't like to spend his time in because they're not momentous.
Not momentous. So bonding is like the primary word for Dr. Siegel on this section. Bonding goes badly. And when it goes badly, it's probably my fault. And you'll guess why I think that. So if I am actually thinking about bonding and the past, generally my first this is just such a bad element to myself. Bad. It's one of my least favorite elements of myself is that I always start comments on what has happened with the negative. Hey, I did a conference yesterday. It could not have gone better. I called Kelly. Hey, what happened? Well, nobody talked is the very first thing out of my mouth. and it's the negative critique is primary for me. And if I go into heart space, it will be first and foremost, this is where I screwed things up with Joe. This is where I screwed things up with Sally. Every single relationship, as I process them, begin in that space.
I don't know that we've necessarily said it. We might have, but I forgot. But there's an awful lot of non-objective, non-productive thinking in this. Like all three of you are in that space, and like the
Wow, TJ.
no regrets. Like it was funny that you said I did a conference and nobody spoke, and the three of us went and didn't speak, and in that space, what I saw was three people processing, internalizing, taking in something profound, and we did not respond because we were letting it be in us. And it is very easy for you in that non-objective space to see, oh, they're not listening to me anymore.
Yeah, and I'm interpreting things, but I have an idealistic vision of how people ought to respond to the things that I bring to the table.
Right.
A metric.
Also a reason to stay out of the heart center because people are flawed.
Okay, I want to do a general. What do you think about the word connection? What is your relationship, each of us, with connection? Thank you.
I always think about people.
I always think about people.
I always think about people. I had a client once who actually passed away, God rest his soul, had the biggest impact on me I think I've ever experienced. And one of the things that he said that I had been trying to articulate in my own world, something to the effect of, we take this with a grain of salt, okay? We don't believe in God, we believe in each other. We believe in each other. And each other, for me, human to human, like, and also human to animal. Now, but it's always living thing to living thing. And what I find is interesting is what I consider to be a living thing in this realm that's important to me for connection. That thing always responds to me, and I always respond to it. And that's always how I see connection. And I wonder how much of that is sexual instinct, because even though social is the instinct for bonding, sexual is the instinct for the intensity between one bond and another, right? And so I'm curious how much, but when I think of a connection, it's always like heartbeat to heartbeat. Does that make sense?
How do you know if you think that's happening and it's not happening?
Ask your question differently. What do you mean?
Well, like,
What's happening? Say again.
I'm thinking of a two who can be experiencing us as very connected, but I'm in my head like, you're missing me. Like, you're not connecting to me. And I feel like she's just kind of just blind to it.
She's right there.
It's not Jackie Kachessa.
Oh my god, my mustache is sweating. Oh well, so it's a little hard to know. I think some stuff that,
it's hard to
some
know.
stuff that Jeff has said in previous episodes about twos having small circles of trust, I think is a big key here for me, because I am sort of I have a little bit more focus now in my life on making sure where I stand in my circle of trust is, so there's actual language there that I don't have to interpret, where I can call Elena, one of my best friends who's an 8, and be like, did I miss you when we were having this conversation when we went out to lunch? Like, I feel like I was kind of not, and she'll be like, I have 3 like middle school and older children. I've been busy. And I'm like, cool, perfect, love you, bye. So I try really hard to not be in a position where if I'm going like, is this happening? Is this not? Do I have to do more? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is actually not a relationship in the realm where you'd put this much excess effort anyway. And so it pulls me back a little bit, like my small circle of trust. So I will say, when I throw something out and it is a complete miss, stranger, a person that's a whatever, I feel shame. And it's not always you're a bad person. It's like you tried too hard and it wasn't good enough. They don't think you are. You are. Oh yeah. You are the only person who thinks you are who you think you are. Bye.
Ooh.
It's like a little bit of, and then I tell myself, I'm like, yeah, you and your top 8, MySpace, you and your top 8, like, you don't need to function like this with them. So, because they'll tell you, they'll be like, you are trying too hard. What the fuck's going on? Like, oh.
TJ?
Connection is a fundamental aspect of the universe and how everything works. Next question.
Wow, I like it. That was unexpected, but also obvious.
It's the water that we swim in. I don't have much to say about it.
Wow.
It just is.
Yeah.
I took the question as being relational, and again, to build on some of the stuff I said, and connection for me is almost entirely mental, and you see it in most of my work, is that I'm connecting with people about ideas, and that's almost the entirety of everything I've done.
Kristen?
In order for me to feel connected to someone, I need to quit trying to fix them and change them. And I need someone who doesn't need me to be my strong, supportive version of myself, which is hard for me to set down. So to me, that's when I feel real connection.
Like, be that part of you who you really are without having to serve someone with it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Last word on the heart triad, or heart center.
I think I just want to say that doing work around who we think we are is important. Like, who can we, this is a very 6 answer, obviously. I don't know another way to talk. Like, I always tell 6s, what do you know about you? What can you rely on about you? What do you know is true about you that you can count on, that matters in your functioning? I think that's really important to do.
It's a good word. Anything else?
Types in the heart center are hotter than the rest of you guys.
Anything, TJ?
I think about my feelings. I'm just really interested in the reality of how difficult it is to talk about the heart center, because it's different from understanding our feelings. And yeah, in the same vein as like needing to do identity work, like this is something that we would all be better off if we did more work here.
I agree.
We're through the second center.
We didn't fight. Good morning.
Good morning, friends and
We did it.
family.
And
Great.
good morning. Head types next week.